It's time for another army review from the Armies of the Lord of the Rings. Hello and welcome to yet another video here on the YouTube channel STF Wargaming Studio. My name is Andreas Norwegian Viking and this is my review of the Kingdom of Khazad-dûm for the Lord of the Rings, Armies of the Lord of the Rings for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. So let's get cracking with the review because this might be a long one. So Kingdom of Khazad-dûm was originally Durin's folk army list in the Free People sourcebook. Now they've moved a few units out and they've done quite many interesting things to this army list, and I think this will be very fun indeed to play. So of course notably missing is Dane. Dane Ironfoot is no longer in the list. Murin and Dra as well are no longer in the list, but there are cool things in here as well. So their army may include Durin, King of Khazad-dûm, Martyrdom, Balin the Dwarf, King of Moria, Floy Stonehand, Dwarf Kings, King's Champion, Dwarf Captains, Shield Bearers, Dwarf Warriors, Khazad Guard, Iron Guard, Dwarf Rangers, Vault Warden teams and Dwarf Ballista. So really cool. They are not historically allied with anyone, but they are conveniently allied with Arnor, Fangorn, Halls of Thranduil, Lothlorien, Misty Mountains, Rivendell and the White Council, and impossibly allied with everyone else. The army bonus is the wealth of Moria lay not in gold or jewels but in mithril. Friendly dwarf models with either the Khazad-dûm or Moria keyword may reroll to wound rolls of 1 when fighting in close combat, which makes them very powerful because most of them have axes. Some of them not, but most of them have axes. Right, so first of all let's go to the heroes. Durin, King of Khazad-dûm, is of course the big hero we start with. And he's changed a bit, but not his points values. So he's still the same amount of points. He's Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry, Hero and Hero of Legend. So he can lead 18 Dwarfs. He's move 5, 6 fight, 4+ shoot, strength 4, defense 9, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 6 courage, 3 might, 3 will, 1 fate. He wears heavy mithril armor, carries Durin's axe, the Ring of Durin, the Crown of Kings and the Horn of Xeraxigil. Durin's axe is now a Master Forged two-handed axe. Additionally, the wielder may reroll a single dice when making dual rolls. Well, this hasn't really changed, but it has gotten the Master Forged keyword. So it's the same but different. Ring of Durin. Once per game, the bearer of the Ring of Durin may reroll a single priority roll. That's a new. Crown of Kings. Durin suffers a wound, roll a die. On a 6, the wound is ignored, exactly as if a point of fate has been spent, which makes him possibly a bit more long-lasting. The Horn of Xeraxigil, this is a war horn. Additionally, it also gives Durin the Terror special rule. So it's now a war horn, which gives everyone +1 courage. Awesome. But it is now terror causing. Well, he always was, but he's got the Warhorn and the Terror in one item. For his heroic actions, he can do Heroic Strike, Defense and Challenge. Doing a challenge against Durin might be very tough to get through. If your army includes Durin, you may upgrade any number of Khazad Guard in his warband to Hearthguard for a number of points. Hearthguard have the Burly special rule. Finally! We can get Burly Khazad Guard. I've been waiting for this moment a long time and he's become fearless. I really like Durin now. He is a monster. And he has the drawback of only having 1 fate, but with defense 9 should be a hard nut to crack. Hard nut indeed. We come now to Martyrdom. hasn't changed in points. Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, infantry hero and hero of fortitude, so you can lead 12. Stat line also not changed. Still move 5, fight 5, 4 plus shoot, 4 strength, defense 7, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 5 courage, 3 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Has dwarf armor and Torozul. Torozul is a foe spear with a Trollbane special rule, D3 wounds against trolls basically. Additionally, Martyrdom adds +1 when rolling to wound against monster models. So that's that was trolls before, but now it's generic monsters. He's got access to heroic strength, so strength 5 against certain monsters would be 5s instead of 6s. That's not bad. And he's got Sworn Protector Durin, so the bodyguard special rule. I think Martyrdom is very, very good now. I think he fits the role a bit better. Previously he was good, but not as good because the spear did +1 wound, but now it's terrifying. If he gets 2 wounds in on a monster, that will almost definitely be a dead monster. So I think that's fantastic. Or especially troll though, troll specifically. Next up we come to a very popular model which almost everyone took as part of a good alliance, which was Floy Stonehand. He's become more expensive by a goblin with spear. He's Dwarf Moria, infantry, hero and hero of fortitude. His stat line hasn't changed, it's still move 5, 4 plus, 4 in fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 6, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 5 courage, 1 might, 3 will and 1 fate. But if your force contains Floy, then only other named heroes from this list that it might contain is Balin, the Dwarf King of Moria. So no other named heroes may be taken in this army, and it's not that it becomes an impossible army, it's just it can't be done. So it's a very nice restriction of not just dropping, well, you can just drop Floy in as a hero of its own, but then you'll lose army bonuses. So I think this will do nicely for plugging that loophole of just putting Floy in and negating people's special rules. He has dwarf heavy armor and staff. He's still got the Lawmaster special rule, but that has been a bit clarified. At the start of his move, Floy can expend a point of will to negate an enemy active or passive special rule or the effects of a piece of wargear with the exception of the 1 ring until the end of the turn. There is no range for this ability, but Floy must have a line of sight in order to use it. Add to that, each time a friendly Moria model, well, Living Law, this is a separate special rule. Each time a friendly Moria dwarf model slays an enemy hero or monster, Floy immediately recovers a point of will spent earlier in the battle. So a bit of a clarification on certain stuff and how it's used, and I do think that Floy was a bit overused in some pieces, so that might be it. We come now to Balin, the Dwarf King of Moria. He's gone up by a massive 7 goblins with spear. His dwarf, Moria, infantry, hero and hero of legend. So it's a second hero of legend in the list, but there's a reason for that. His stat line has not changed, so he's move 5, fight 6, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 6 courage, 3 might, 3 will and 1 fate. But this is cool. I really, really like this. If your army includes Balin, the Dwarf King of Moria, it may not include any other named hero models from the Kingdom of Khazad-dûm army list with the exception of Floy Stonehand. Additionally, if your army contains Balin, you may include Ori the Dwarf, Champion of Erebor, Oin the Dwarf, Champion of Erebor from the Erebor Reclaimed army list, and Gimli, Son of Gloin from the Fellowship army list as heroes of fortitude for the time being. If your army list has Balin as its leader, then you may wish to change the name of this army list to the Kingdom of Moria instead. Or in the Dwarf Champion Urbar, or in the Dwarf Champion Urbar, Gimli Son of Gloin, Dwarf Kings, Kings Champion, Dwarf Captains, Shield Bearers, Dwarf Warriors, Khazad Guard, Iron Guard, Dwarf Rangers, Wolf One Teams and Dwarf Ballista that are part of the same arm list as Balin will exchange their Erebor and Khazad-dûm keywords to Moria keyword. Also, if your army includes Balin, then every other alliance will be impossible allies as contact was lost following Balin's triumph in Moria. So what this basically means is that you can have a pure Moria army and a pure Khazad-dûm army, and that'll work side by side within this one contained army list. You don't need to have two army lists to achieve the same goal. And I really think it's cool that it can include other parts of the expedition that has been canonically explained, that is correct from the books and the movie, that these characters were there. So I really like this, and I think this will be interesting to play. He has heavy dwarf armor and Durin's axe, so his Durin's axe is included in his points cost. He's got access to Heroic Resolve, March, Strike and Defense, and the long bed special rule. In the priority phase, Balin may spend a will point to enable his side to reroll their d6 in the priority roll. And is... no, that's Bomber. That regenerates will points. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I think it's fantastic that you can now have thematic armies, and the army list makes you do thematic armies, which is good, from my perspective at least. Dwarf Kings has not changed at all. There's still the same amount of points. Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry Hero and Hero Fortitude. Move 5, 6 fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 6 courage, 2, 2, 1 in might, will and fate. Heavy dwarf armor and axe, heroic resolve, heroic march, throwing axes and two-handed axes are their options. So, other than the heroic actions they can do, not much has changed with the Dwarf Kings. For the captains, the same applies. There's still the same amount of points. Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry Hero and Hero Fortitude. Move 5 fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 7, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 5 courage, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Carries dwarf armor and axe, has ability of heroic march, shield, throwing axes and two-handed axes. So all the same. Well, Dwarf Kings, did they have access to throwing axes before? I might have forgotten that one. Yeah, that might be a new one. Alright, so King's Champion has gone up by 3 goblins worth of points. You still get the King's Champion and the 2 heralds, but it's now a bit more fair priced, I think, because you got 3 characters and 2 banners, and I do think that is a bit underpriced. Now it's a bit more fair. So the King's Champion has not changed. Nothing has changed about these though, so a bit of a clarification though on the Herald's Duty and the Lifeguard. But move 5, fight 6, 4 plus shoot, strength 5, defense 7, 3 attacks, 2 wounds, 5 courage, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Heavy dwarf armor and 2 axes, has heroic strike and strength. The King's Champion will always be the warband leader, and Herald counts as an independent hero. And it has the ability Herald's Duty. When the 2 heralds or the King's Champion and the herald are in base contact, they receive a +1 bonus to defense. If both heralds and the King's Champion are in base contact with each other, they receive a +2 bonus to the defense. So all of these can become defense 9, which is fantastic. The heralds, still the same stat line, to move 5, 4, fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 7, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage, 0 might, 1 will, 2 fate. Dwarf armor, shield, axe and banner. Herald's Duty, so the same as the King's Champion, and Life Guard. If the King's Champion is wounded, either Herald may expend their own fate points on the champion's behalf as long as they are in base contact. Note that they cannot suffer the wounds on the champion's behalf, they may only use their fate points. So, small clarifications on the wordings, but nothing has changed except for the points values, and I think it is fairly costed now. Do get 2 banners though, still. So yeah, it's tough, but then again they have to clump up in the middle. So they hadn't changed much at all, although points cost, but the thing that hasn't changed at all is the Shield Bearer. Is still the same amount of points. Is Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry, Hero and Minor Hero. Move 5, Fight 5, 4+ Shoot, Strength 4, Defense 8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 4 courage, 1 might, 0 will, 0 fate. Carries Dwarf Armor, Shield and Axe. Has the In Defense of the King special rule. At the start of the game, nominate a single Dwarf hero model with the highest heroic tier for the Shield Bearer to protect. If a nominated hero is engaged in a fight within 3 inches of the Shield Bearer, then the Shield Bearer may call a heroic combat without using might. If the hero combat is successful, then they must use the following move to join the nominated hero model in combat. If this is not possible, then the Shield Bearer must move as close as possible to the hero model. If you have more than one Shield Bearer, they may both protect different hero models. Just remember to make it clear to your opponent which Shield Bearer is protecting which hero model. And lead by example. Friendly hero models within 12 inches of the Shield Bearer may reroll failed courage tests. So it has been clarified a bit with the who they can protect, that it has to be the highest tier heroes. But other than that, it has been unchanged, and I do think this is fun. It's a minor hero now, so he can only lead 6 models, and it isn't that powerful, but again, it's a free hero combat, so it can do damage, and then do more damage on other stuff. So that's all the heroes. Let's move on to the warriors. So the Dwarf Warriors are unchanged. They're still Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry, Warrior, Move 5 for Fight, 4+ Shoot, Strength 3, Defense 6, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage. Has Dwarf Armor and Axe. They have the option for a Warhorn, so that's changed up in points to go in line with every other Warhorn in the old and new armies. They can carry banners, dwarf bows, shield, and they can swap an axe for a 2-handed axe and a dagger. So yeah, Dwarf Warriors pretty much unchanged. Khazad Guard unchanged as well. Dwarf Khazad-dûm, Infantry and Warrior. Move 5, 4 in fight, 4+ shoot, Strength 4, Defense 7, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage, Heavy Dwarf Armor and 2-handed axe and axe. Bodyguard special rule still, but then again, using them with Durin, getting burly. Oh, so nice. The Iron Guard, a Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry and Warrior. Still the same amount of points. Move 5, 4 in fight, 4+ shoot, Strength 4, Defense 6, 2 attacks, 1 wound, 4 courage, Dwarf Armor, Sword and Throwing Axes. So finally we have the, well, we did before, but it's finally been totally clarified which is which. So no more can you piercing strike with Iron Guard. Well, you can of course pay a point to change the sword to a max instead, but I think this is good. Dwarf Rangers, a contentious troop type which rarely saw the use because they were so expensive in their options. It cost like number of points for Dwarf Longbows, number of points for Throwing Axes, and Dwarf Longbows had longer range but less strength. But now I see them as better, even though they've gone up by a point. So they have Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry and Warrior, still the same profile, so they're move 5, fight 4, 3 plus shoot, strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage. Has armor and axe, but the dwarf longbow is now only a third of the points. Throwing axes are only a third of the points, and they still have access to two-handed axe, and they are mountain dwellers. So they are now a very cheap infantry model, but I do think you'll see them more with their throwing weapons, because that's nasty. That's so nasty with so few points for throwing weapons. Could be really good. For the Vault Warden teams, unchanged in points, they'll come with the 2 models, so the Iron Shield and the Foe Spear are a unit. Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry and Warrior, so we'll take the Iron Shield first. So unchanged in the stat line, they are move 5, 4 in fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 9, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage, has heavy dwarf armor, axe and iron shield. A model armed with an iron shield cannot be barged or hurled and is unaffected by the Rend brutal power attack. I absolutely love this. This will make them so much better against the monsters they are designed to protect against. So I really like that ability, and paired with the next one, it is amazing. So they still have the same drawback unless supported by a model with a foe spear. A model with the iron shield applies a -1 penalty to the duel rolls even when shielding. But for the foe spear, same the stat line. So move 5, 4 fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 4, defense 6, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage. So there were defense 5 in the previous book, but that was FAQ to be defense 6, but now it's the correct one in the book, luckily. They have dwarf armor and foe spear, and the foe spear is the exact same, well, nearly exact same as Torozul. So you have this is a spear when supporting a model with an iron shield receives a +1 bonus when rolling to wound against monsters. So they're not as good trained against fighting without the iron shield in front, but I really think this is good. And lastly, you have the Dwarf Ballista. So the Dwarf Ballista, still the same amount of points, still a siege engine, but one thing I missed when I did my Minas Tirith review was the changes to siege engines in general. So it is a small siege engine and is crewed by 2 dwarf warriors with heavy armor and axe. One of the crew is automatically the siege veteran, and I didn't really know what siege veterans did until I looked it up, and siege veterans are essentially a captain. It has a might point. All crew members have the Dwarf, Khazad-dûm, Infantry and Warrior keywords. So it means that it can use might to influence. I think it's not... it's an independent hero, I think. So it can join other warbands. The crew are move 5, 4 in fight, 4 plus shoot, strength 3, defense 6, 1 attack, 1 wound, 4 courage. Dwarf armor and axe. They have access to a dwarf engineer captain, so they can have a captain in addition. Flaming ammunition and additional crew. Piercing shot, still the same rules as before. If a shot from a Dwarf Ballista hits a battlefield target, then they will suffer 1 strength 9 hit. Additionally, if the target has a strength 5 or lower, they will be knocked prone and flung d6 inches directly away from the ballista. Any model that target passes over will also be knocked prone and suffers 1 strength 6 hit. If the target comes into contact with a piece of impassable terrain or a model that is strength 6 or higher, then it will immediately stop and be knocked prone. Both the target and the obstacle or model, if it has a defense value, will suffer a strength 6 hit. And it's still accurate, so it only scatters 3 inches rather than 6. So they've lost superior construction, but they still have everything else. And the old Siege Veterans rule, which was a re-roll on the batter chart? Yeah, I think so. So all in all, I am absolutely in love with the new Dwarf army list. You can do so many cool thematic options. and you have very good price reductions for certain things. You have a more inline points cost for the King's Champion as well. So the King's Champion. So army is good and done, and I'm hopeful to hear your comments about what you think about this army, if you think it's still good, or you think that it's lost some of the magic using Dane in there. I do think we'll be able to see all Dane as well in the Hobbit book when that comes out. I'm not completely negative about using only the new Dane, but I do think that all Dane has a way of, well, there is a reason to have access to all Dane, and maybe it can be like some of the other options that they have combined stat lines and have different equipment for different things. But until next time, I've been Andreas, Norwegian Viking, and this has been my review of the Kingdom of Khazad-dûm army list from the Armies of the Lord of the Rings for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Please comment, like, share and subscribe, and do consider supporting STF on Patreon using the link in the description below, as it is a fantastic way for you to give us your support, and it helps keep the lights running. If you're interested, you can find a link in the description below, and it keeps us well fed and everything. So if that is all interesting, click the link and it'll take you to our Patreon page. But more importantly, support your hobby.